All right, well, welcome. I'm Dr. Rob Flores. I'm the Assistant Dean in the College of Communications, and I just want to welcome you to our Experience CSUF Day Become a Titan. Today's panelists are a group of current College of Communication students and alum from our programs, and we wanted to give you an opportunity to ask students about their experience and hear their stories. So I will introduce some of our panelists. I'll go through and I'll call each one of you out. If you can just tell us your name and your major and what year you are, and then we'll go from there. All right. And we will have a Q&A afterwards. You can also put questions in the chat at any time, and we'll get those answered for you. So I'm going to hand it on over to Haley.
Hi everyone, my name's Haley. I am a comm major, emphasis in entertainment and tourism, and I'm also minoring in CCVA and entertainment and hospitality. And I'm a third year.
Great, thank you. Sonali.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sonali. I'm a communications major with an emphasis in PR. And then I'm also minoring in cinematic and television arts. And I'm a senior graduating this semester.
Thank you. Claudia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia. I'm a senior as well, graduating this summer, and my major is cinema and television arts.
Okay. Justina.
Hi everyone, my name is Justina and I am a second year student and I am a communication disorders major.
Sully.
Hello, my name's Sully, and I actually graduated in 2019 with my undergrad in journalism and in American Studies.
Thank you. And Cesario.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Cesario. I'm a communications major with a concentration in PR. I'm a senior. I'll be graduating next semester.
Great. And Sarah?
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm a double major in cinema and television arts and communications with an emphasis in entertainment and tourism, and I'm a fourth year in my last semester.
Thank you. Yesenia.
Hi everyone, my name is Yesenia, and I'm a human communication studies major. I will be graduating this fall, so I am a senior, very exciting. And my emphasis is in intercultural studies.
Thank you. And Rebecca.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rebecca. I am a third year student majoring in communicative disorders in Spanish. I'm a third year. I'll be graduating 2022.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So the first thing I'll go through and I'll just open it up. So if you'd like to answer, just go ahead and unmute yourself. A few of you, tell us, why did you choose CSUF?
I could hop in right now. So before I even admitted into CSUF and accepted the admission, I looked up like different clubs that I was interested in, and one of them is Entertainment Tourism Club, ETC. And I really enjoyed like looking at their Instagram feed. And I was like, whoa, they could like go to different award shows and like TV tapings. So I was just like, I should go here. And it's not too far away from like, you know, the heart of LA. And then, you know, Disneyland is always a plus. So yeah, that's why I chose CSUF.
Yeah, when I was in high school, which was like 12 years ago, I visited CSUF and I instantly fell in love with the campus. It was gorge, beautiful. And I love that it was located in the heart of like everything. I mean, like Haley said, it was like Disneyland 20 minutes away. But you know, after finishing high school, my mind wasn't really in the game and I didn't pursue an education. I went straight to the workforce, and there was nothing wrong with that. I mean, I did what I had to do to survive. But you know, I was unhappy. I was working dead-end jobs, and that's when I went back to community college, and I did what I had to do there. And when the time came for me to transfer, I was very lucky to have been able to decide between some really great colleges, CSUF among them. And it was a no-brainer for me because as an incoming transfer student who wanted to pursue a degree in a communications, CSUF ranks amongst like the best when it comes to their communication program. I mean, their communication program is among the largest and extensive in the nation. And after all these years, CSUF remains still a gorgeous campus, and it truly feels like home here.
I have to agree with Cesario. I went to visit the campus when I was in community college, and really the biggest reason why I joined was because of the culture. Luckily, I was there during a time when classes were active, and it was really fun to see all the engagement and how everyone was so connected. I visited a few places, like the support systems there in the HCOM department, and everyone was so friendly, so engaging. I felt like home. It felt like family.
Great, thank you. Anyone else like to share?
Kind of along the lines of what everyone else was saying, I have to agree with what everyone said so far. I'm a transfer student from the Bay Area, so I agree with Haley a lot in terms of, I'm not gonna lie, I did Google like which colleges were closest to Disneyland. Um, but I also have to agree with Cesario, you know, like we have one of the best comm and PR programs. And I think one thing that I like about CSUs that I learned from my counselors in community college was that CSUs are more hands-on when it comes to your classes versus UCs that are more research-based and a lot of papers and things like that, which, I mean, you do papers here too, but one thing I'm super grateful for CSUF is the hands-on experience I've gotten, especially in PR, for sure. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sonali. I'm going to kind of jump off of that point that Sonali just made about the hands-on experience. So can anyone share a little bit about what hands-on experience you've been fortunate enough to have during your time in the program? And if any particular faculty or staff were supportive and how that was for you?
I can go ahead and answer that one. So as I mentioned, my major is communicative disorders. So right now I'm pursuing a career in speech language pathology. And kind of to touch on both questions, the reason that I chose Cal State Fullerton primarily is because it's close to home. Also, I received a scholarship to come here, but I think that as like from the first day that I stepped on campus, I was like welcomed into such like a warm and welcoming environment. The communicative disorders community, as I've come to realize, it's like we're pretty tight knit. The faculty are very, very supportive. I remember like it was like my second week on campus. I went to meet with my major academic advisor just to like introduce myself, get to know her, get to know the program. And she was very, very open. She was very, very welcoming. She was able to connect me to a lot of resources that we offer within the department, such as like research opportunities, leadership opportunities, just all of these areas where we can get involved. And then just from there, I can speak on a little bit of what I've been able to accomplish at my time at CSUF. So currently I'm a student leader for a student organization called STANCE. So basically it's a student group for pre-professionals pursuing the path of speech language pathology with an emphasis in issues of multiculturalism and diversity. And through this student organization, we've been able to get to know our students even more, to have like close, intimate discussions about the issues that we're seeing in our field today and how we can approach them as future clinicians. And then I've also been able to work with a couple of different professors on research projects that they've been doing. I've been fortunate enough to present with them at several conferences. So that's something that definitely I did not foresee coming into CSUF, but there's so many opportunities for you to pursue so many different routes. So I would highly recommend our program here.
Excellent, thank you. Sully.
Yeah, I had a lot of great hands-on experiences too here. So when I came in, I think it was called Welcome to CSUF Day back then, but when I came in, I think Titan Radio was playing the music for that day actually, and I was like, this student radio is something I was really interested in, so I went up and talked to them, and it was just a bunch of students who were super nice, super down to earth. So I got involved, I think either my first semester of my freshman year, maybe my second semester. And basically that's kind of projected my whole career. So I stayed within Titan Radio. I volunteered. I became a student worker there. And then after graduation, I was able to create a staff position. So that's what I do now. I work full-time for the university in a staff role after I graduated. So not only did it give me opportunities when I was there, but also it's like kind of shaping my career afterwards. And I was able to kind of stick around the university a bit longer too. Even though radio was the main thing I got involved with, I also did study abroad also, and that was amazing. One of the biggest reasons I chose Cal State Fullerton, I'm from Fullerton, but one of the biggest reasons I chose it was because I figured if I save money going local with the school, then I can kind of save up some money and study abroad. And that was definitely worth it. I went on our Florence program that's offered through the College of Common. It was amazing. And I mean, I don't know what the future of study abroad looks like, but if assuming that continues, that's an amazing program that I would definitely recommend.
Justina.
Thank you. Yeah, totally. I wanted to piggyback on both Sully, Sonali, and Rebecca were saying. I'm a communication disorders major, and I chose CSUF because, first of all, it was very close to me. I grew up in Fullerton and then moved to La Mirada like almost 10 years ago. And again, it's still really close. It's like a 20-minute drive, and it's personally really affordable for me. And its communications program is top notch. It is a wonderful program, and especially like for communication disorders, which is my major. I've heard incredible things about the program. One of my mentors in high school is an alum from the ComD program at the undergraduate and graduate levels. And she kept telling me, you really should, apply to CSUF. So I did. And I'm really happy to be here. And I think one of you guys mentioned how CSUs have a very hands-on approach. And I completely agree. That's why I only applied to CSUs when I was in high school, because I love hands-on learning. I love really interacting with source material and professors to gain rapport with them. And also the more you get to know your professors, you can get letters of recommendation for grad school. And as someone who will be attending grad school to pursue speech language pathology, it's really great having faculty in my department that really wants you to succeed. And they offer office hours and advising, and they're just really, really great. And they want you to succeed in wherever you plan to go through, whether it's being a SLPA, which is a speech language pathology assistant, or pursue audiology, or pursue speech language pathology. Again, I can only speak from the perspective from my major, but I'm sure the rest of you guys who aren't from ComD will totally understand that we have great faculty, and CSUs in general have a very hands-on approach. And the same can be said for my specific department. And those are just a few of the many reasons why I chose CSUF and why I stayed here. I'm in my second year, obviously, so I'm most likely one of the younger people here on this panel, but can't recommend CSUF enough. It is an incredible school.
Yeah. I was sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead. I was just saying thank you. Go.
Yeah. No, I have to agree with. I forgot who said it, but someone was saying like going into it, they didn't expect how much hands-on experience they were going to get from it, and I could not agree more. I knew I wanted to do PR, but I never really knew what exactly it meant. And then I joined the Public Relations Student Society of America, PRSSA, and I met such a tight-knit group of people, tight-knit, but also so open and welcoming to new people. And you get to learn so much about the industry from, mentor programs and panels, and you can join, committees with the executive board members to learn about their positions, whether it be social media or event planning and things like that. And so I was able to get so much hands-on experience from PRSSA alone, both from everything I just mentioned, and we have a student-run firm where you can work with real clients, and it's not an application process. It's like whoever wants to can join as long as you have the time. And so that was so nice to have, and something I did not expect at all. And then when you stay with it, you can grow into executive board positions, which I never thought I would do. And yet I have two now. And it's just so crazy, you're able to grow so easily, especially when you join an organization or a club like that. And kind of what someone else was saying, like in the courses alone, the professors want to see you succeed. And I think you can learn so much in terms of being hands-on in your courses as well. especially in, at least in my PR classes. PR is so situational. You can't learn everything from a textbook. You have to do it. And a lot of professors know that. And so instead of learning about, the textbook version of how to write a press release, it's no, here's your topic, you're going to write press releases, which I think is super cool. And I feel so prepared to go to my internships and, my careers after I graduate.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on to our next question. This was a popular one in the session we had prior to this, which was the college overview. It was about internships. And so a number of our majors require internships. So cinema, television arts, communications, HCOM, human communications, it's an option if you want. And I believe now internships are part of the ComD program. So who would like to share what that experience was like in looking for an internship? How did the college support that process? And what did you learn from it? How did it prepare you to get to where you are today? Claudia, would you like to go on that one first?
Sure. I feel like, I don't know if this is very CSUF specific, but it is specific to like the CSU experience. I was able to get my first internship after my freshman year because of this. So I'm a C2A major, and there's this organization called the Csu Entertainment Alliance, which specifically helps CSU students basically use that hands-on experience they get in their courses and get internships. And because I feel like I did have a lot of hands-on experience in my production classes, I was able to put that on my resume as experience, which I feel like really helped me get my first internship, and then from then on keep going. I'm an intern right now at the Tonight Show, and Rob was actually one of my references for that. So I feel like that's just a testament of how the faculty here really goes, out of their way to be supportive.
I can kind of piggyback off of that too. I think, like you said, like the hands-on experience you get is totally useful for your resume. And I can't imagine what my resume would look like if I didn't join PRSSA and I didn't, get these hands-on classes in my my major. And like you said, like the faculty, even the faculty will vouch for you when it comes to internships. I have an internship right now with a huge marketing firm that does, marketing for a bunch of blockbuster films. And that was because of my CTVA professor. He was like, hey, like there's this internship with these people I work with, you should do it. And that's how I got it. And so I'm so thankful for the faculty as well. But yeah, I feel like I was going kind of off topic with the question. But I think in terms of, our career center and things like that too, I am so thankful for the fact that, as you mentioned, Rob, the internship is a requirement for a lot of majors. And so part of that requirement is going to the career center and getting your resume checked off, which is so valuable. And I'm really glad that that's a requirement, because there's things that you'll never even notice that the people that are helping you will notice. And it just makes it even better. Like there's no harm in it. And so, yeah, that, and like I keep mentioning, organizations and clubs that you join are extremely beneficial, not only for your hands-on experience, but the networking opportunities that you get as well. Even as far as, just watching a panel and connecting with someone on LinkedIn afterwards can go a long way. And you would be surprised, like we had a video game panel not too long ago for PRSSA, and now I have an internship with Ubisoft. Like I did not expect that to happen at all. And so you have to take every opportunity that you can get, and network is a huge part of internships as well.
Speaking of like the career center and everything, Titan Connection is actually one of the ways that I found my current internship, which is with CSUF Student Life and Leadership. And I'm their social media intern as of now. But I guess backtracking to my first year, like I said, CSUF offers so many different clubs. Like you can find literally what you're looking for. We have like over 340 something clubs here on campus. So you can just find anything that you're interested in. And so for me, it was ETC, the Entertainment Tourism Club. And then in my first year, I actually attended a panel and got the opportunity to become an intern for Audiences Unlimited and Cast and Crew. So I was able to work at billboards or Latin American Music Awards, Streamies, Critics' Choice, all that fun stuff. And I really couldn't thank CSUF enough because I don't think I would have gotten any other like opportunities or experiences like from any other school because of that. So, and then I guess more recently, I also landed a summer internship with Viacom CBS. And so, yeah, everything is just thanks to CSUF and just Titan Connection really, because I don't know where I would have been without all these like resources. So yeah, that's my experience so far.
I also, sorry, I wanted to add real quick. I think, what's it called? I had an experience when I applied to one of my first internships where the person that was interviewing me was a CSUF alumni, and I had like my resume in CSUF colors. And so I guess just if you choose to come here, like you're gonna have that sense of Titan pride, and you never know where it's gonna lead you. So always just be like, remind yourself that like CSUF is a very well connected place with a lot of alumni in different companies, and some might be at the places that you want to be. So definitely show that Titan pride and be proud of it.
Great. Sully, how can students, one of the ways we talk about internships, but also on-campus opportunities, whether it's working as a student assistant or volunteering. So both you and Cesario in Titan Radio, Titan Communications, how do students get connected to those kinds of involvements?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, on Titan Connections, where we always post our internships and our student assistant spots as well. But basically, kind of, I don't know. I was going to mention this either now or later, and I see this theme. I see this theme with the best students that apply to us, and even with all the students here, is to get involved early, even if it's in like a pretty minor capacity, even if you're just a normal member in any club that you think kind of sounds interesting. That's kind of what I just keep seeing as being successful, because unfortunately one of the saddest things I keep seeing is like someone will come to us in their senior year, they need their internship requirement, and they'll fall in love with Titan Radio, and they're like, oh, I wish I had another year left to like explore this more. And that's just like, I'm so tired of hearing it almost. It's like sad a bit. So I definitely recommend getting involved early. I like at Titan Radio specifically, typically how it goes is anyone on campus can volunteer to be a DJ, and we typically can accept anyone who applies. So people become a DJ, they have a show, they love it, and then maybe they become an intern, and then they become a student assistant, which is a paid position here on campus. So yeah, like I said, it's usually, you kind of get rewarded for getting involved early in a way.
Going off of that, I couldn't agree more. One thing that I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, someone said this to me and it changed my life, but it actually has happened to me once, where I was at orientation for transfer students, and I'll never forget being when we split off into our majors, and then we were all in a classroom, all the College of Comm people, and one of the professors said, if you're a transfer student, you have no time to think about joining a club, you just have to do it. Don't think about it because you'll regret it. And it was wild to me because right before she said that, when they were talking about clubs, I was like, I'll give it a semester, I'll think about it. And then she said that and I was like, oh, dang. And I've never taken something like so seriously. And I'm so glad that I didn't think about it. Like you said, Sully, like it's so important to just get involved in something. Just jump in. If you don't like it, then you can try something else. So anyone here who's a transfer student that is interested in, being a part of CSUF, like if you do end up in wherever college you go to, get involved. Don't wait.
Totally. As an incoming transfer student, I just want to add on to that. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know my place. Wasn't really set on my concentration either. And when Discover Fest came around, I saw Titan Radio there. I was like, well, I don't know a thing about radio, but I tried it and I got my own radio show. And let me tell you what, no matter what your concentration or what major that you decide to do, I would highly recommend joining your radio station, your college radio station, because it is so much fun and it's such a powerful way to upstart your brand and express yourself in a creative way. The radio show that I had this semester is so nonsensical. I go from Japanese death metal to Taylor Swift so fast, and it's just so much fun. And this semester, I'm a community engagement intern at Titan Radio, and I help put on events. Different events like album listening parties. Just recently, we had a Britney Spears watch party where we talk about her legal battles. And I feel like it's helped me so much work on my interpersonal skills because, yeah, talk to different people all the time and make sure you communicate your thoughts clearly. And it really also helped me develop my writing skills as well. And also want to mention too, I wanted to mention this earlier, but PRCSA, if you join PRCSA, they have like a database too of all these internships that are available to you. So no matter where you go, join your PRCSA and make sure you check out that database so you could get involved in all these great opportunities.
Great. We have a question in the chat. If you are a transfer student from community college, what was your experience like as a transfer student? The student is transferring into the human communications major. So maybe Yesenia or Justina, you can kind of give some tips like how to get connected in HCOM.
I can go ahead and chime in. So when I first started and actually didn't transfer as an HCOM major, I transferred in as a business major. But then I transferred to HCOM, and the experience from a community college to Csu Fullerton for me was very exciting. I was excited because it was a huge campus compared to my community college. I transferred from Saddleback, but for some reason it was just, wow, it was like, oh my gosh, I finally made it. This is my next step. I was really scared because I didn't know how to get involved. It was kind of, you're the new kid in the classroom, you don't know anyone. And you see people hanging out and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I gonna connect here? How am I going to make friends? So what I like to do is I just kind of went in and went to my career center first. And I would highly, highly recommend, like everyone has said, put your foot in the door. Just go, reach out, go to the events. Even if you don't know what is going on, just go. I went to Discover Fest. I talked to a few people at a few of the stands, and some of the clubs I joined were the Business for Latinos. They have a title, and I completely forgot right now, but the club is really, it was really fun because I didn't know anything about my major or kind of what I wanted to do with it. I just joined, and making those connections with those people made me have a more clear idea of what I wanted to do, which eventually led me to HCOM. But I would highly recommend just go to the Career Center, get yourself situated with somebody there, talk to them about what you want to do, what you're interested in, and then those are kind of like baby steps that will lead you to other events in Csu Fullerton. And it's this little snowball effect. You go and reach out to someone, you meet somebody else on LinkedIn. But yes, getting your foot in the door is my biggest recommendation.
Great, thank you. Right, we have a question in the chat about our theme community. If you don't know, the College of Communications has an academic residential theme community in housing. This is for all first-year freshmen in the College of Communications. And so we actually have a former RA from the theme community and two former residents that I know for certain on our panelists. So I'm actually gonna call out Sarah to share about the theme community and why it's so great.
Thank you, Rob. So I lived on the theme community. It is Elm 5, and I lived on the theme community my first year, and I actually met one of my really good friends who's also on this panel, Claudia, when we lived there our first year, and it was the most amazing experience like ever. And I actually got to be the RA for that floor last year. So I got a chance to, help guide those students like where I was when I was in my first year, and getting to know them and having those shared interests was really, really great. And just helping them come into their first year, sometimes you feel lost and you don't know where to start. And I think living on a theme community with people that have the same passion and interest as you is really helpful, because you're going through it together, and it makes like the college experience so much more fun, and so much more just being with other people and not having to do it alone is really good. And yeah, I love housing. I'm still here. I'm in my third and last year as an RA. And so if you have the opportunity and the means to be able to live in housing, CSUF is considered to be a commuter school, but our housing community is so like tightly knit, and we're really, you just get a chance to meet so many people, and it really helps make the college experience, especially here at CSUF, a lot more just wholesome.
Thank you. Sully?
Well, I realize mine is kind of a spin-off of the RA question, so I will wait in case anyone else has a response to that.
I can speak on my experience as a resident. So Sarah mentioned we lived in the CTVA themed community. Oh, it's the CALM themed community now, right? I believe so. Yeah. But I cannot advocate stronger for that experience. It was literally, not to sound cheesy, but it was the best experience. And I really do think had I not had that experience, my college experience would have gone very differently. At least I feel like as CTVA majors, a huge thing like that's really important career-wise is networking. And living on that floor, you were automatically connected to so many people in your major. And so it was so fun to just take classes together, know the people that were going to be in my class, be able to work on projects, you know, even outside of class, or just have those shared interests. It made making friends so much easier. And it was also, I believe, the first time I met Rob, which is really cool, because thinking about it now, that was sort of how I ended up getting involved in CICC, which is the College of Communications Interclub Council, where Rob was our advisor. And then later, like I mentioned, Rob ended up being my reference for the internship I have now. So it's kind of like a full circle thing, just kind of goes to show how much the connections I made my freshman year there have like carried me throughout college. And almost all my close friends that I still have now, that I hope to work with someday, I met all there also. So if you can do it, I would highly recommend it. I did take out a small loan to live in housing my first year, but I would 100% do it again.
Thanks.
I just wanted to piggy off of what Claudia and Sarah were mentioning about Elm 5. Like, I feel like we all lived just like a same life in a way because of Elm 5. But yeah, it was just a really great experience. Like, just right off the bat, you have a sense of community. And not even that, like the housing residences, they also hold like events for everyone. So all the first years get to mingle with each other. Yes, Elm 5. And then we also got the opportunity to like make a haunted house like during the Halloween season, and that was super fun, like so fun. And so when we got to like take charge of that, so yeah, experiences with the housing residences are so freaking fun. So highly recommend.
Thanks, Haley. Yeah, themed community has a lot of benefits to living there, but like you're hearing, there's a lot of different programs. And so while you make great connections and friendships, there's also opportunities to have like the college career specialists come in and do workshops just for you. You have an advisor who comes to your residential theme floor and will do one-on-one advising with you. So we really try to connect you with all the resources you need and bring them to you. We still want you to get out on campus and explore, but you know, it's really great that our faculty and our staff are committed to being part of your residential experience. So lots of great options there. Sully, did you want to touch on your point?
Oh yeah, thanks, Rob. I was just going to kind of add on that. I feel like the theme I'm seeing right now, and that maybe the students are catching on to, is like, this is a big school. Like there's like 40,000 students here. I mean, I live in Brea and I think our population is like 42,000. Like, so it's basically a small city, right? Like this campus is a small city. And people have touched on that it is a commuter campus. Some people might call it that, but really what it comes down to is, I think the common thing that I keep hearing is like, you need to find like your people, like your kind of niche. And it sounds a lot easier than it is, but like for me, once I found Titan Radio, then like I wanted to spend more time on campus, and like I would just hang out there. Like these people, like with the RA experience, like they would just want to hang out with their friends in the RA, or people getting involved with PRSSA and other stuff. So I think you kind of just need to find your little like niche for like a reason for you to stay on campus and just kind of interact with people around, because it's really not going to benefit you just to come to class and leave. And I mean, I think you all are opting into this Zoom call on a Saturday afternoon, so clearly you seem pretty interested in getting involved. So I think it's already a good start.
Great, thank you. There's another question in the chat. As an incoming freshman coming down from NorCal, do you recommend bringing a car to get around, or is it not needed? What was your experience like? You will need to buy a parking permit, right? So
yeah,
let's be real about that.
Like I said, I'm from the Bay Area, so I totally feel you. I think it depends on where you live for a lot of it too. I live in Anaheim, so a car is definitely needed. I'm sure there's public transportation you can take, but a car is much easier if you can swing it. Yeah, like Rob said, you will need a parking permit, which is a cost. And then parking as well is quite a challenge sometimes. But I would say it comes down to where you live. Like if you're interested in dorming, I would totally do it. I wish I did it, because like everyone said, like there's such a sense of community. I'm like, man, I wish I did that. But there's also a lot of like apartments around the campus too. I think like UH is one that's like super common, and I know a ton of people that would just walk down the street to get there. But I have a car, so if you could swing it, I liked having a car. Yeah.
I would agree. I'm from Sacramento, so I definitely would suggest. I mean, I didn't bring a car my first year, and I wish I did, but luckily I had friends that also had a car, which is always a plus. But yeah, I mean, everything is still in walking distance. Like if you're looking for food, there's a grocery store like Smart and Final. There's around. We have like a really good Thai place. I don't know if you guys know Thai. I think Basil. And then like there's I think Cafe Re's no longer there, but we still have like a lot of like food options around the campus, and it's not too far. There's boba places, there's a acai bowl near the UHs, and someone who has also lived in the UHs and now am going into the UCAs. Everything's pretty much in walking distance. It's not too far unless you're like, you know, living in Anaheim like Sonali just mentioned, but yeah, would recommend bringing something down if you could.
And Haley, for those who don't know, UH stands for
University Housing. So yeah, it's behind the Hope University College. Yeah, it's just right in front of the school. Once you see that sign, it's, if you're interested, University Housing, I believe on Chapman and Chapman.
Yeah. And although it has the name University Housing, it is not affiliated with Cal State Fullerton, just so you know. So our housing at Cal State Fullerton, or residential communities, are part of Housing and Residential Engagement, HRE. You can apply for those online at Housing's website, which I'll put in the chat. But there's lots of other community-based apartment communities that you can choose to live in. And one of those is University Housing. There's a number that are within walking distance to campus, which is very convenient for you as well. So those are all good options. There's a question in the chat about coming in as a transfer student and what that experience was like. So how was that transition coming to Cal State Fullerton as a transfer student from a community college? And did you think the classes were harder at Cal State Fullerton than your community college experience? What was that like in your opinion? Anyone want to share? Sorry.
Yeah. I would say the hardest transition for me was literally the battle royale in the parking lot. But other than that, it was pretty fun. The classes, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily harder, but I would say they're more interesting than they offered in community college. Like last semester, I took Comm Technologies, and I don't know if any of y'all are like fans of Netflix Black Mirror, but let me tell you what, that show was a fascinating exploration between technology and communication, and how, you know, technology is consuming our lives and how it's affecting the way that we are communicating. So classes like that is so awesome. And the classes that you might find some challenge, or the classes personally that I find a little bit challenging are the classes that, you know, I'm majoring in, because we all want to excel in the industry that we're going in. PR, for instance, you know, I would submit, okay, I would like submit like some of the worst awful press releases, okay? And my professors, they're not like shredding you just to be mean. They're just giving you, critique so you could better yourself. And like we've talked about earlier, professors here, they want to see you succeed. They want to support you. So when you get like a pretty heavy critique, they're not just doing that to be mean. They just want to see you grow and develop. And I take every critique to heart, and I develop my skills. And I'm grateful for every critique that I've gotten. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder, but you may face some challenges, but they're rewarding.
Kind of going off of that too. I think I have no regrets transferring from community to CSU. If anything, I definitely I wasn't as intimidated. I think I don't know if you're incoming like freshman, you might be really intimidated by how big the campus is and all the people and everything like that. But I think it was nice to kind of grow from high school and then gradually go from community college to university. So I think, a lot of times people will say like, it's scary coming in as a transfer student if you don't know anyone, everyone has their cliques, but I feel like it's easier than a lot of people say, especially when it comes to like the first day of school. Like everyone is kind of awkward and doesn't really know anyone in the class for the most part. And so you can kind of like get in on that. And it's easier than you think to just be like, to make friends just because you're breaking the ice and trying to, connect with someone on the first couple days of class. But in terms of finding classes harder, I kind of agree with Cesario, and like, if anything, they're more interesting. And sometimes that can lead to being challenging. But I think it depends on your community college too. If a lot of them were big, like seminar, like 100+ student classes, or if they were smaller. I think in CSU, we don't have a ton, at least in my experience, of like really big seminar classes. But sometimes it might be harder to establish a connection with the professor if there's big classes like that. But yeah, I don't know if I would say they're harder. I think if anything, they're sometimes more tailored, and therefore more interesting, but also more challenging. But I don't know if I would say like, oh, the community college classes are easier. I think if anything, it prepares you for CSUs. So.
Thank you, Sonali. We have a couple more questions. And so the campus parking, everyone wants to know about campus parking. So how hard is it? And I invite you panelists to be honest, and your experience, of course. But this particular student shared that they attended Mount SAC and parking was always difficult. So how early do you recommend being on campus before a class starts?
I think it depends on where your class is, and if you're okay with walking a long distance. At first, I tried to always find parking. Like the College of Comm building is kind of like across from the main campus, so a lot of your comm classes might be there, and they have like their own parking lot, and that can fill up really quick. And honestly, I would get there up to like an hour early. Just so I didn't have to stress about it. I'm like that. I show up to things way too early. And sometimes I find things in 5 minutes and then I have to sit in the cafe for 45 minutes. But I would say at least half an hour early. But if you don't mind like walking a lot, which after a while I didn't, there's definitely some lots that are less crowded than others. There's one, I forgot what street it's on. It's kind of like around the corner from like the main street and then like across the street, and like no one really knows that one exists. And I found that one our last semester before going virtual, and so that made things really, really easy. But otherwise, yeah, I would say at least a half hour, especially when it comes to like morning, afternoon. I would say like after 4, it's probably a lot easier.
I'm coming from San Diego, so I usually leave 2 hours before. And sometimes I'll be super lucky to find parking in like 5 minutes, but other times you may have to like wait 20 minutes or so. So it is pretty bad, but it's never like disaster. I don't know. It's subjective. It depends on the day.
I feel like I had a kind of uncommon experience where I always seemed to find parking, but that's because I didn't mind walking. It's kind of hard to explain if you don't know the map very well, but up in the northern side of campus, there's a parking lot next to our baseball fields, and most people avoid that because it's a bit farther, but it's like a 5-minute walk still. It's really not that bad, especially if you've been to other larger campuses. Ours is not, as like, doesn't take as much of of a footprint. So I would park there. And then how safe is parking? I don't know, it kind of goes in waves. I feel like we've had I mean, to be honest, we've had our incidents, right? Like there's been instances in the parking lot, but I mean, I feels like CSUF is working better towards that. I know a lot of them also now have not like valet, but like stack parking. So then there's like employees in the parking lot, like at all times, basically. So that's going to deter theft as well. That's the most I can speak on it, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some stack parking options. So there are staff in certain parking lots when they offer staff parking or stacked parking. And there are also a number of cameras at each of the parking structure locations as well. And so if you look on the campus map, I put in the chat, there's a new campus structure that's will be ready when we return this coming year. But those also have security cameras. There's regular patrols around campus. In case of any emergency for your well-being, there are blue light locations at certain points across campus where you can make an emergency call to university police and they respond very quickly. So very safe in that sense. Yes, and you can escort. Yep, Sonali's right. You can get an escort as well. If you feel unsafe, you can call for a police escort to your car or to your class. There's another question, a fun one, about what is student life like on the weekend at Cal State Fullerton? If it's mostly a commuter school, what is there to do? And what's downtown Fullerton like? Any cool tips or places for people to check out?
Sure, I'd like to volunteer if that's okay. Downtown Fullerton is really fun. Because I grew up in Fullerton, I've been there many times. There are so many vintage shops. As someone who loves shopping vintage, there's Buffalo Exchange, there's Memos Vintage. There's just a lot of vintage stores there. So I recommend checking them out. And there are a lot of really great restaurants as well. So definitely a place you would want to check out because there's just a lot of cool places to pop by and visit. And there's this one antique place called, I think it's called Brick Basement Antiques. And there's like 2 floors or 3 floors like full of antiques. So it's pretty cool.
Just to add to, on campus, it's really quiet. Usually people that live in the housing community will go home on the weekends. So it's really peaceful around here, but downtown Fullerton is like Justina mentioned, it's really lively. I think at night too, there's definitely like a nightlife. A lot of food places. I was literally there yesterday. Chatua was my favorite. So definitely a lot of cool different places to try out.
I would agree with Sarah when, if you're on campus housing, it does get really quiet on the weekends, which is nice if you enjoy that. You can roam around the Arboretum, or you can, just spend some time on campus and just enjoy the sun. But my personal favorite would be Disneyland. I mean, downtown Fullerton, don't get me wrong, there's so many good food options, but I definitely spent a lot of my time at Disneyland. And just having fun there. But the Arboretum is such a good zen meditation area y'all could check out when we do head back on campus.
Any other tips, recommendations?
I just want to, I know a few of us mentioned the Arboretum. The Arboretum is like a really high, state-of-the-art, green area that's actually part of campus. It's in the northeast section of it. And it's I think it's a 4-star rated Arboretum, which is only 30 of the world. There's different biomes in there. I mean, there's if you want to geek out on science stuff, there's a lot there, but also if you just to look at greenery and hear nature around you, it's a great place. And downtown Fullerton is also super great. I feel like it's kind of a perfect balance of if you just want to chill and have some dinner, that's totally fine. But also if you want to stay out a little bit later, if you stay out there past around 9 p.m., then you're definitely going to get a pretty lively nightlife if that's the type of thing you're into. So it's kind of a little bit for both. I feel like good, family friendly and nightlife stuff.
And just to add on, the Titan Recreation Center, they also offer hikes during the weekends, not at school, but they go to the Hollywood sign and local areas as well. So that's also another option that you can do.
That's great. Thank you. All good recommendations. So I'm going to ask each panelist to give kind of a closing thought here. But if you have questions, we'll continue to take them. Please put them in the chat. But I'll start with Haley. If you could share why someone should choose Cal State Fullerton, and what advice do you have for an incoming student this semester, this fall semester?
Yeah, so for those who are coming in this fall semester, I definitely, like we've all mentioned this, like definitely get involved as much as you can. I definitely found my home, and like, yeah, you can find your home anywhere like else, but definitely CSUF has definitely given me like my family. Like I see some of my friends in here that are supporting me today. So it's just like really nice just to have that sense of community and like yeah, just getting really involved in like organizations. Like we have so many different ones, so you'll definitely find your home in any which of them, and if not, Fullerton's already my home as it is. So yeah, that's definitely what I would say.
Great. Haley, I'll ask you to just popcorn it and we'll do it that way.
That's good. I'll popcorn Cesario.
Yeah, I would definitely choose CSUF because, like Haley said, this is a place that I call home. It is so beautiful. The Arboretum, like we already talked about, is so majestic and strange. Just cover that. But my advice for any of y'all coming in, especially I'm not sure how many of y'all are incoming transfer students who maybe took a break from education. One thing that I had to like get out of my head was that I'm too late in the game to like do anything. You know, it's like never too late. Don't get out of that mentality. And definitely get involved, network with everyone, make friends with everyone. LinkedIn, because you never know, like we discussed, you never know when opportunities may arise in the future. So yeah.
All right, who do you want to popcorn to?
Popcorn, Claudia.
I forgot what the first question was.
Why choose CSUF?
Oh, because it's the best. Yeah, that's why. That's my biased answer. I would say just because I feel like it's for me has been the best place to get experience that I genuinely feel like has set me up for life beyond college, you know, with all the hands-on experience we talked about. But also I think one of my favorite things about it is compared to most schools, it's relatively pretty diverse. And I think that's something that I really like for me personally, as someone coming from East LA. It's very comforting to know that there were a lot of other people who I could relate to in Fullerton. And also just there's so many people you can meet of different backgrounds and just that have different experiences. So that's why. And then the other question was a piece of advice. My favorite thing to tell people is college is the prime time to be just selfish about yourself, your wants, everything. This is the time. Choose the school that you want to go to because you want to go there. Don't try to get swayed by where other people are going or where other people want you to go. And once you're there, do whatever like you want to do, whatever club you want to join, even if it's out of your comfort zone, do it. If you want to meet someone, go up to that person, do it. Just be selfish and do everything that you wanted to, because the 4 years will fly by. And you'll just feel so much more proud of at the end of it. You can look back and say, I did everything I wanted to do and I didn't hold back. So I'll popcorn to Sarah.
Literally retweet to everything that Claudia said. What's it called? To answer the question in the chat too about why specifically Fullerton, I was accepted to CSUN, but I'm from the Valley, so I wanted just that experience to, again, like be able to get out of my comfort zone and be somewhere new. And so to that, like, trust your gut. If you've had the opportunity to be on campus and you just, you feel it, like, if you know this is a place for you, then definitely just follow that feeling, because this, again, it's such a special place and you can do whatever you set your mind to. And the opportunities that are available here are really unique and really helpful. And like this, just what this campus can bring to you is hopefully something that you're looking for. And you can also find your place here. So yeah. And I'll popcorn to Justina.
So honestly, why I chose CSUF was because, first of all, everything's very hands-on with the professors. It's a beautiful campus. It's really close by my house. And there are great networking opportunities, as you know, other previous people have mentioned before. And it's really great for communication, for people who are majoring in the field of communications in general. And college is just a really great time to, you know, pursue self-discovery, and obviously self-discovery is continued throughout your whole life. It's not just in college, but this is the time where you're starting out your young adulthood years and you know, transitioning from adolescence to adulthood. And see, because CSUF has a wide population of students, you get to meet people from various backgrounds, sexualities, religious views, ethnicities, and it's just a really great melting pot kind of a school. And it's a great place to just meet new people and learn new perspectives. And it's just, I mean, everyone's saying, oh, it's a great place, but really, it's a really great place. And I can't recommend it enough.
Justina, who do you want to popcorn to?
I will popcorn to Yesenia if you haven't gone yet.
Yes, so why choose Fullerton? Well, I believe one of the biggest reasons, as everyone has mentioned, is networking. And on that, I actually had the opportunity to work on campus. And I think that that's one of the biggest highlights for me is having that student involvement. And I was a student assistant at SFS, what used to be SFS, now is Student Business Services. And it's really cool just to get that sort of experience, because working from your university itself allows you to meet people from there, meet people from your own major, connect with others and say, oh my gosh, you're in my class. I didn't even realize that. And boom, connection. And then those connections lead up to other opportunities. I started off in the student business services, but then I moved on to the transfer center, where I got to meet other people as well. That directed me kind of to other opportunities. And so I want to say that that's one of my biggest highlights, is really getting involved and just having even experience on campus. If you're looking for a more, not just like an internship, but if you're looking for more of a paid service, this can be like a good start, especially if you start early and you develop that experience. And then you have a second family there as well. You feel a lot more grounded, a lot more connected, and even your supervisors can connect you with other people in campus. And so I believe that that's one of the biggest things for me. Another thing is that they do have the Diversity and Inclusion Resource Center, DIRC, which I thought was really fun for me. Oh, sorry, I muted myself. As a first generation student and as a Latina, specifically a Mexican American, I was very scared. I didn't know, I wanted to connect with people from my own ethnicity. And so I love that about Fullerton, that they are very inclusive and that they offer that diversity. So you can go in and hang out with people who represent, who you can connect with, either because you're a first generation student, you're a transfer student, you want to relate more to your ethnicity. It's a great way to connect with others there as well. So I love that culture, that connectedness.
Thank you. Who do you want to popcorn to? We have Sully, Rebecca, and Sonali, I think.
I'll popcorn to Sully.
Hi, so everyone's done a great job already talking about kind of the networking part, so I think I'll focus on something else. I think something that people maybe don't realize going into college is that, you know, studies show that usually your first job outside of college is going to be right around wherever you went to college, just because naturally that's where you're making your connections. So especially as people who are interested in communications, most of the time those jobs are based in LA, so I really can't think of a better place than being around Fullerton, and also in Irvine too. I mean, like I'm thinking like every car company is basically based out of Irvine. So, and they all need communications people. But also besides that, I mean, it's literally nicknamed CSU Disneyland for a reason. I used to work at Disneyland's media team and half of the office had a CSUF degree. I'm not lying at all. And I mean, just the weather too. I don't think any of us have really talked about the weather. I mean, I don't know what other places everyone else is looking at, but it's like always sunny. It's always great. It's sometimes too hot, but even then it's like still nice, you know? And I think the last thing that, you know, something that I didn't even realize was kind of a thing going into my undergrad is there's basically two types of universities, right? There's ones who are research focused and ones who are instruction focused. We're instruction focused, and that's a great thing for the students. So if you go to like UCI or USC, you're going to be taught by professors who are interested in progressing their own research mainly, and they're really not going to spend that much time with you. Mainly, you're going to spend time with their TAs, which are just master's students for the most part, which is fine. Those are smart and super qualified people too. But if you come to CSUF, or really any CSU for that matter, you're going to be working with the faculty directly, because research isn't really as important in their job descriptions. It's more about creating time with the students. So they're going to not only be your faculty, but they could be your mentor, they could be your friend, they could be your advisor. Like, they're going to really get involved with you. And I feel like those are kind of two, like, you know, when I was like 18 picking a college, I wasn't like, which one's research driven? I didn't even know what that meant, right? So I just kind of wanted to point out that since I've been here for a bit. So, and I will popcorn to Sonalia.
Yeah, I could not agree more with you, Sully, in so many ways. I think the first thing for me as a transfer student from NorCal was the location. Even before looking into how good of a program we have for communications and for PR, I liked that I could go and live somewhere that was, you know, close enough to drive to LA without having to deal with LA traffic. And then also things like Disneyland and downtown Fullerton. We're in such a really nice spot where you can still experience everything without it being a full-on road trip or like a really bad traffic and stuff like that. So I totally agree there. And then same thing, like you said, like we are instruction and hands-on versus UCs that are research based, and the professors are interested in you know, their own research and things like that, versus professors here that are here to help you and really help you stand out when you apply to jobs. So that for sure, but also I like our PR program, if you're interested in PR, is outstanding. And I knew that it was good, and communications too, like, but going into it, like, maybe it might not look like it from the outside, but once you get into it, you will be surprised how much you can get out of your experience here. And then in terms of advice I have for freshmen and for transfer students, I think someone else is kind of saying it, but it reminded me that college and university isn't a race. Take your time. Just because it says, oh, I want to graduate, like people say, I want to graduate in 4 years, does not mean you have to. And I think a lot of people are intimidated by, you know, all of their, oh, I want to graduate with my friends. Oh, I want to graduate in 4 years and just be done with it. But if you find the things that you like, do it. Take your time. If you decide that you want a double major and it's your 3rd year, do it. Like, take some more time. It's not a race. Like, those companies and jobs that you're interested in are going to be there after you graduate, most likely. If you're in PR and then your senior year you decide to want to get into radio, like, take some extra semesters and do radio. Like, it will only benefit you. And you know, maybe it might be disappointing to graduate with your friends, but I guarantee you in 30 years you probably won't remember it that much, like how awesome it was to graduate with your friends. I don't know, like, it might be, but like I think, like, I would rather, you know, for example, get extra experience in radio and possibly get a job down the line that way. So yeah, it's not a race. Take your time with it.
Thank you, Sonali. Rebecca.
Yeah, I just second everything that everyone else has mentioned. From someone who came into CSUF straight out of high school, a lot of times I think that just the CSUs in general, they get a bad rap as compared to like private universities, UCs. But I can definitely say from my experience that it's definitely worth it, not only because of the lower cost and everything else that everyone's mentioned, but also because college is 100% what you make of it. And Fullerton offers so many different opportunities regardless of the route you decide to choose, you will have faculty support, student support, just all of these different support areas that will help to propel you into whatever direction you choose to pursue.
Thank you. Did I skip anyone on the panel? I think I got everyone. All right. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here today. I want to thank our panelists for taking time out of their Saturday to come talk with all of you. I want to thank all of you for coming, asking your questions, and letting us share with you. So we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you pick CSUF and become a Titan. And we look forward to seeing you in the fall semester. So thank you everyone and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you, everyone.